I now would like to invite the president of the Mellville Chamber of Commerce, Michael DeLuise, to join me at the podium. Michael DeLuise has opened the door to success for scores of corporations, not-for-profits, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and students, co-creator of America's first automated theatrical box, office system for the smart organization. His areas of specialty include marketing, branding, funding, management consultant, communications technology. Recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award of the Public Relations Professionals of Long Island, he serves as the founding president of the Mellville Chamber of Commerce, former vice president of university relations at Hofstra University, vice president of development and external affairs at Dowling College, president of DeLuise, Hirschman and Holly, a well-respected full-service marketing company with offices in New York, Boston, and Washington, D.C., serving high-profile clients such as the John F. Kennedy Center, the New York Philharmonic, American Museum of Natural History, and Radio City Music Hall. His credits include creating the television commercials for the original Broadway production of Mummenschanz, Annie, and David Merrick's 42nd Street. He was named the 2012 Long Islander of the Year, and in 2014, he was honored by the town of Huntington for his community service. For his exemplary leadership, ability, and vision, Five Towns College confers the Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa, upon Michael Bradford DeLuise. By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Five Towns College and the New York Board of Regents, I confer the Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa, with all the rights and privileges therein contained.
Wow. Thank you, President Barr, Provost Miller, distinguished members of the Five Towns College Board of Trustees, administration, faculty, and my fellow honorees. What better way to start a holiday weekend to spend the morning with this wonderful class of 2015. Members of the class of 2015, you're amazing. Today, this theater overflows with the great pride and love of those who join us to congratulate you, along with the love of those who wish they could be here with us today. You have made your families, your parents, your husbands, your wives, your friends and colleagues very proud. You're great, and I'm proud of you too. I applaud you for all you've accomplished, and the best is yet to come. The degree you receive today comes with an amazing treasure chest, overflowing with remarkable tools. Remarkable tools you will use again and again to get the job done many times in the coming years. You've learned a lot. Now it's time to get to work. Whether tomorrow brings the beginning of a new career or advancement in your current job, or maybe it's time for you to raise a family or earn another degree, whatever you plan, don't let your education stop today. Keep your Five Towns College tool chest handy. Those tools will need to be kept polished and well used. You've invested long hours, many dollars, and a lot of hard work to get where you are today. Now it's time to make sure your investment pays the dividends you so well deserve. When I was 12 years old, I asked my dad if I could have the keys to his car. And he looked me straight in the eye, and he said, if I was serious, I'd better learn how to drive first. So at 12, I was certainly not ready to drive a car. So Dad promised to give me the keys when I proved I was a capable driver. My father was not a perfect man, but he's a good man. I loved him very much. He gave me solid advice, encouraged me to live my dreams, and was always there when an emergency occurred. But at times, as I grew up, I felt he wasn't paying enough attention to me, placing me somewhere mid-level on his long list of priorities. I felt I always had to fight for Dad's attention. My Uncle Joe, not my father, finally taught me to drive when I was 16. Growing up, I found myself looking to those outside my family for guidance and advice. Many of my teachers were totally amazing. They inspired and supported my search for knowledge. The dozen or so business mentors who adopted me throughout my career helped me to turn my crazy ideas into dream-come-true realities. I started my first career after graduating from college as a madman. If you've been watching Mad Men, the cable series about advertising in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you have a glimpse of the beginning of what my career was like. At the end of the Mad Men era, back in the early 1970s, I was a young advertising exec with the ambitions to change the world. Most of my clients were in the entertainment business. One of the initial accounts I was assigned was a company called Ticketron. Ticketron called itself the first computerized ticketing company in the world. As any good madman would do, I decided to learn everything I could about my new client and how they did business. So I visited Ticketron and met with the senior execs of their parent company. As I asked a ton of questions, it quickly became clear to me that Ticketron's world-changing computerized ticket system was not much more than smoke and mirrors. My client was a marketing gimmick. Ticketron's parent company was at that time a national leader in computer technology, but yet the Ticketron mega computer that supposedly held all the seats in the house did not even exist. I was told that they had no intention of putting any effort into building a real computer box office system. I felt they were missing a great opportunity, and they laughed at me when I told them that. So if they weren't interested in doing it, then I would build a game-changing ticketing system all by myself. I was energized. I had unlimited confidence, and I knew I had what it takes to make history. Actually, I was too dumb to realize I really knew absolutely nothing about computers and how they worked. My youthful, infectious excitement about my project and my madman enthusiasm to hype a product I believed in enabled me to entice an NYU professor to become my partner. Together, we were confident we could actually build the world's first truly automated box office system, even though my partner also knew almost nothing about computers and technology. We set out to work and we created a business plan and what we felt would be an accurate budget. All we needed now was a client. Somehow I got permission to present our idea to the League of New York Theaters. We polished our flip charts. In those days, there was no such thing as PowerPoint. We practiced our sales pitch, making sure we could answer any possible questions thrown at us. The day of the presentation arrived, and the room was filled with the many legendary producers and theater owners who ruled Broadway. Our presentation was dazzling, worthy of a standing ovation. As we finished, we paused. We waited for the cheers and applause we expected, and there was a moment of silence, then a few chuckles, then some jeers, as we were ridiculed for suggesting what might just be the worst idea in theatrical history. Literally, it felt like the breath, every bit of the breath had been knocked from my lungs. But then somehow, in the next minute, my life got better, really better. Amid the mumbling, a throat in the back of the room was being cleared as Bernard Jacobs, president of the Schubert Theater Organization, stood up and said, "This sounds like a good idea. Kid, the Schuberts are going to hire you guys to build this for us. Let's go to my office and sign an agreement." It actually took a few days to sign the contract, then about 18 months to deliver the Schubert ticketing system that includes Telecharge, America's first truly computerized telephone reservation system for live theater. As they say, the rest is history. We had created a theatrical blockbuster. Today, if you go to Broadway or see a show in Los Angeles, Chicago, Boston, Philadelphia, chances are the ticket you purchase owes its origin to my partner, myself, and most importantly, to Bernie Jacobs, a forward-thinking leader who became a most excellent client and a life-changing mentor to me. Mentors help us reach our goals and offer us a hand when we fall. At times, this game of life can be thrilling and difficult. The good thing is, we're not in it alone. Human beings have needed mentors since the early days of creation. You have certainly heard of those ancient mentors who helped guide and advise civilizations over the centuries. Confucius, Socrates, Plato, Ben Franklin, Oprah, Jon Stewart, P. Diddy, Mike Francesa. We find guidance in those smart folks we admire and trust. In my day, there was a very wise dean whose words still sing in my heart. He realized those who insist on trying to do it all on their own are the real losers. Their bank accounts may appear to be bulging, but as my favorite dean and a popular mentor of the last century, Dean Martin, so wisely said, gold won't buy you happiness when you're growing old. Dean Martin also offered another good piece of advice. You're nobody till somebody loves you. And among my lifelong mentors, there are several whom I do love and cherish with all my heart. My wonderfully supportive and very patient mentor and wife of 44 years taught me true love is found in a ton of love, not in a pot of gold. My two daughters mentor me every day. They help me stay on track when that pot of gold or some other silly distraction catches my eye. All I need to do is think of them to once again focus on the truly important things in life. Class of 2015, as you prepare the next step in your life, and you might be a little frightened. It is a tough world out there. It's just about guaranteed you're going to face obstacles along the way to challenge you and your dreams. Hopefully, you will easily step over your roadblocks to success. Good as we all hope you do, chances are you're going to experience a few failures along the way. Thanks to my professors, my mentors, and most of all my family, I've managed to chalk up a few successes throughout my career. But along with some success, I've had quite a number of mishaps and failures too. In fact, the most important secret career tool pulled from my treasure chest of knowledge has been my learned appreciation of the tremendous positive value of failure. If we can learn from failure, then success is just about guaranteed. Throughout my life, I've done a lot of stupid things. You might have read about some of them. Some I can actually talk about in a distinguished gathering such as today's ceremony. About 7 years ago, I received a call from Les Hollander, an old friend. I had reconnected with him on LinkedIn. Les wanted to discuss an idea. Could we get together next Tuesday? I was going on vacation that week and asked if we could meet when I returned. He said he wanted to see me as soon as possible. How about lunch day after tomorrow? And I was fine with that and asked him where we should meet. And he suggested somewhere close to the airport because he'd be flying in from San Francisco just for our lunch. Wow. He's coming from San Francisco. I was thinking he must be interested in more than just merely catching up. Turned out he wanted me to get involved with some new internet company he and his brother were setting up. We had a nice lunch. I listened and I tried to comprehend the value of his new venture. During my vacation the following week, I researched, I explored, and I found out all I could about Les's new business. Kind of liked the idea of his new project, but try as I could, I cannot bring myself to leave the security of my job at a local college to set up an office in Greenwich Village and bring this new internet service to college students across America. When I returned from vacation, I called Les and told him I had no interest in getting involved in his new company, Pandora Radio. A few years later, when Les left Pandora, he was a rich man, and I was still secure serving as a college administrator. Next time, I will be more diligent in my research. A sidebar to all this, today Les is involved in another silly internet startup, but because I dissed him the last time, he said he didn't even need to get me involved in this thing, and perhaps you heard of the new one, it's called Spotify. But I really do try to learn from my mistakes. One thing I have learned is that most success involves taking a leap of faith, conquering fears, and being willing to accept the responsibility, whether the outcome turns out to be success or failure. Graduates, stay energized. Take those leaps of faith. And when you are faced with failure, take a deep breath, refocus on the important things in your life, and then head straight back on course towards success. Class of 2015, I'm pretty happy about my life and career, where it's taken me. I wish each of you many more successes than I have ever achieved, and less than half of my failures. As my dad was faced with the last stages of life, we spent his final days together. He asked me to sit by his side and remind him of the important things we shared over the years. During these precious days, we reconnected and talked about many things. The morning he died, he told me he had a special gift for me, and there were tears in my eyes as he handed me his car keys. Son, it's time to give these to you. You've had a few bumps along the way, but you proved to me you've learned to drive. Class of 2015, your future is waiting for you. Show us how well you drive, and the keys are yours. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.